Welcome to the Bible Show on evolutionpop.com. I'm your host, Jeff Hudson. This is the Bible Show where we read the scriptures directly from the Bible. It's not what your pastor said, not what you heard, not what you think you know, not what Josephus wrote, none of that stuff. What does the Bible actually say? Today's lesson, the sons of Noah, Ham, part 2. Now, I know it's been a while. Forgive me, it's been a while. We had the Feast of Unleavened Bread. My work schedule changed. I'm working later, so haven't had a chance to really get off in time to work more hours too. So I haven't had a chance to get off of work and get back home. I don't think the studio's open back up yet, so I'm still in the house. We're out and about, but we're still doing the Bible show from home still. So hey, all right. So hope everyone had a good Feast of Tabernacles. And why don't we just get right into it? Got a lot of reading to do. This is the Sons of Noah Ham, talking about Ham, part 2. We did part 1, man, was it a month ago? I don't think it was that long, maybe 2, 3 weeks maybe. It might have been a month ago. I got to go back and check. But we're going to go with part 2. But before we do that, I remember mentioning in the last lesson about Egypt and the Muslim conquest of Egypt. Muslim conquest of Egypt, which is why if you go back to ancient Egypt, the ancient Egyptians were a very dark race, the dark-skinned race of people, which like same thing as the Israelites, a dark-skinned race of people. Until the Muslim conquest of Egypt, not only Muslim conquest, but the Greeks conquered Egypt. I think the Romans conquered Egypt. So all that conquering by other nations led to the different breeding of the nationality of the Egyptians. So what they look like today is not what the ancients looks like. Ancient Egyptians look like back in King Tut and when the Israelites were captive there. So if you want to find out more about the Muslim conquest of Egypt, you can go to military.wikia.org, military.wikia.org. As a matter of fact, why don't I read a little bit of it? I'll just read a little bit of it. Militarywikia.org, Muslim conquest of Egypt. Let me go to the simplified version. I got some picture in there. So, okay. Muslim conquest of Egypt. At the commencement of the Muslim conquest of Egypt, Egypt was part of the Byzantine or Byzantine Eastern Roman Empire with its capital at Constantinople. However, it had been conquered just a decade before by the Persian Empire under Khosrau II. And that was in 616, it was from 616 to 629 AD. Emperor Heraclius recaptured Egypt after a series of campaigns against the Sassanid Persians, only to lose it to the Muslim Rashidun army 10 years later. Before the Muslim invasion of Egypt had begun, the Eastern Romans had already lost the Levant and its Arab ally, the Ghassanid kingdom, to the Muslims. All this left Eastern Roman Empire dangerously exposed and vulnerable to the invaders. So there you go. That's a quick little snippet of how Egypt was conquered, which changed the way the people look. Kind of like the United States. These United States, what do the people of the United States look like today versus what did it look like before the Europeans conquered it? Case in point. So let's get on with the lesson. Let's get on with the lesson. The sons of Noah. We're talking about Ham, the descendants of Ham. And this lesson, the series that we're doing is basically where are the locations of these cities or these sons of Noah located today? Noah had 3 sons, Japheth, Shem, and Ham. And they all had sons, and if their sons had sons, where did they locate? Because those were the only 3 people, and Noah and their wives were the only people on the whole planet. So they had to repopulate it. So where did all these descendants of Noah go? Where do they live at? And where did they locate to? What are the cities after them? That's what this series was. We started with Japhet. Now we're on Ham. We're on Ham part 2. You know, I'm thinking about to hold off on Shem. It's a lot of research on this. It's a lot of sons to look up, and it takes a while. I want to get back to actually doing a lesson from the Bible. This is more of a genealogy type of thing, a location type of thing, a historical type of thing. Um, but it still is biblical. But I want to get back to more like a prophetic thing. So maybe we'll hold off. I can take some time and do Shem maybe a little bit later. I'm not going to say when, um, but maybe a little bit later. But let's finish this one up. The sons of Noah, Ham, part 2. Now let's go back to Genesis chapter 10. We're going to read 6 through 12. Genesis chapter 10, verses 6 through 12. Verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim and Put and Canaan. And we did all those the last lesson. And the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah and Sabtah and Ramah and Sabteka. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. We did a little bit of Nimrod too. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth, and Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. Now let's look at these sons real quick, and then we'll go to the sons of Mizraim after this. So, there's Jonathan. So, Seba. So for Seba, I went to Biblia.com. Biblia.com is where I went to. And this is the Wycliffe Bible Encyclopedia. And I looked up Seba. Seba was the son of Cush, the first one named in Genesis chapter 10, verse 7. We're going to do Seba, Havilah, Sabtah, Ramah, Sabteka. I'm going to try to run through it really quick. We got a lot to read. I want to finish in an hour, maybe even less than an hour if we could do it, but who knows? We'll see. So Seba, S-E-B-A, Seba, the first named descendants of Cush, son of Ham, who settled in South Arabia before the time of Moses. You can read that in Genesis chapter 10, verse 7. Well, that's where we got it from. And 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 9. Number 2, the name of a land, the Sudan, or northern part of Ethiopia. So where is this? Where is Sudan and the northern part of Ethiopia? It's what we call Africa today. So these are the Sudanese. What color are they? Dark race of people. Ethiopians. Dark race of people. Just no racism or prejudice or anything like that. We're just trying to identify the location, what these people look like back then. That's all. That's it. Historical information is what we're getting to. That's it. The name of a land, the Sudan or northern part of Ethiopia, included Meroë. You can see that in Psalm chapter 72, verse 10, Isaiah 43, verse 3. The inhabitants known Ethiopia and Seba for thee. Okay. I don't know what that means. So but anyway, references that it says are Psalms chapter 72, verse 10. And I didn't go to look it up. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 3. Ethiopian Seba. And the inhabitants are in those Bible verses. Okay. Also went to Ancient.EU, Ancient.EU, the Ancient History Encyclopedia, Ancient.EU, and I looked up Meroë, M-E-R-O-E. Meroë was a wealthy metropolis of the ancient kingdom of Cush in what is today the Republic of Sudan. It was the latter-day capital of the kingdom of Cush, 1069 BCE to 350 CE. That's a long time. After the earlier capital of Napata was sacked in 590 BCE. All right. So let's go to the next one. Havilah. That's Seba. Let's go to the next one. Havilah. Havilah. And for that one, I went to creationwiki.org. Creationwiki.org. Now, I just bounced off all these different sites. I didn't just stay on one site. I mostly didn't stay on one site. I wanted to go through different websites just to see what they had what information they had about these different peoples. I didn't want to just stay in one particular book or one particular location. I wanted to compare and contrast and compare to see if some things were similar. A lot of it was. I didn't want to just quote from one particular thing. I want to go all over and see, get different perspectives of this. A lot of research in this, and wow, it took a lot. And I'm still not even done. So anyway, Havilah, creationwiki.org. All right, Havilah, recognized by anthropologists as being related to the Australian Aboriginals and Vedoids of southern India, are the Melanesians, Micronesians, and New Guineans Papuans. However, they have mutated into quite a different looking stock. Who is the ancestor of these black people? Again, we must return to the Bible foundation of anthropological knowledge. Okay, then it goes to Ethiopia. It appears that a branch of Havilah, son of Cush, joined with some descendants of his brother Seba in migrating to Ethiopia. They were known as Avalate, dwelling just south and west of Arabia Felix. In Ethiopia on the Sea of Aden, south of Babel, Mandeb, Mandeb. There they founded a town called Avalis, modern Zila. It is these people after whom the district of Khawlan, Khawlan, in Arabia Felix may be named. Now, I didn't do there's a lot more stuff you can read, but there's a lot of sons to get to, a lot of cities to get to. So I kind of took just snippets out of these. You can go back to all these websites. I got it in the notes here. Go back to all these websites and take a look at it and look it up. See what information you can find for yourself if you're really interested in this. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. Sabtah. 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 For this one, I went to thefreedictionary.com. Thefreedictionary.com. Sabtah. Sabtah is also translated to Ceuta. Ceuta. Redirected from Sabtah. Also found in Encyclopedia. Ceuta. Ceuta. A Spanish city of Northwest Africa. Spanish city of Northwest Africa. An enclave in Morocco on the Strait of Gibraltar. Gibraltar. A flourishing trade city under the Arabs. It was taken by the Portuguese in 1415 and passed to Spain in 1580. So this is still talking about Northern Africa. So this is where these people dwelled, migrated to, the Sabtans migrated to this part of Northern Africa. Right around Morocco, which is where the Rock of Gibraltar is, right where it's like in the middle between Morocco and Spain. It's the Rock of Gibraltar. A flourishing trade city under the Arabs was taken by the Portuguese in 1415 and passed to Spain in 1580. An enclave in Morocco on the Strait of Gibraltar consisting of a port and military station held by Spain since 1580. Population 74,931 as of 2003. Okay, Encyclopedia2.thefreedictionary.com, some more information. Built on a Phoenician colony, the city was held by the Carthaginians, Romans, Vandals, Byzantines, and Arabs. Taken by Portugal in 1415, the first permanent European conquest in Africa. It then passed to Spain in 1580. It was renamed. It has remained Spanish despite several attacks, notably a prolonged siege, and that was from 1694 to 1720, by the Sultan Moulay Ismail. In the 1990s, Ceuta became a way station for many sub-Saharan Africans fleeing civil wars and other strife in their homelands and attempting to immigrate to Europe. In 2002, Morocco, which objects to Spain's possession of Ceuta, Melilla, and several smaller Moroccan outposts briefly occupied nearby Perejil, Perejil, or Lila, an uninhabited islet both nations claim. After Spanish forces bloodlessly ousted the Moroccans, both countries agreed to leave Perejil unoccupied. So the Morocco and the Europeans, the Spanish and the Portuguese, well, Spanish now, are still kind of fighting over this particular land. Morocco is saying it's theirs. Portugal and Spain is saying, no, we got it. Let's go to the next one. Raamah, Raamah. What's that, man?
Raamah.
Raamah. Now, before we go into Raamah, let's go to the Bible. We're going to go to Joshua chapter 18. Joshua 18. And we're going to read 11 through 12. Then we're going to skip down to verse 21. Joshua chapter 18, verse 11. This is talking about the son Raamah. And the lot of the tribe of the children of Benjamin came up according to their families, and the coast of their lot came forth between the children of Judah and the children of Joseph. And their border on the north side was from Jordan, and the border went up to the side of Jericho on the north side, and went up through the mountains westward, and the goings out therefore were at the wilderness at Bethaven. Now let's skip down to verse 21. We're talking about the location of where the children of Raamah dwell, the Ramahians. I don't know if it's the Ramahians or not, but let's jump down to verse 21. Joshua chapter 18, verse 21. We're going to read 21 through 28. 21. Now the cities of the tribe of the children of Benjamin, according to their families, were Jericho and Beth Hoglah and the valley of Keziz, Keziz, and Beth Arabah and Zemaraim and Bethel, and Avim and Para and Ophrah, and Sephir Hamonai and Ophnai and Caba, 12 cities with their villages, Gibeon and Ramah and Beerah. So Ramah is included in the cities that were given to Benjamin. And Mizpah and Sephirah and Mozab and Rechem and Irpil and Taralah and Zillah, Eleph and Jebusai, which is Jerusalem, Gibeath and Kirjath, 14 cities with their villages. This is the inheritance of the children of Benjamin according to their families. So Benjamin inhabited the land. When God gave the Israelites the land of Canaan, Benjamin inherited the part that was called Ramah, that Ramah had. So now let's look a little bit more. Let's go to biblia.com. Biblia.com. We're still talking about Ramah. It's also spelled Ramah. In Genesis, it's spelled Raamah. So biblia.com, Ramah of Benjamin. A city in the heartland of the land of Benjamin, near the main route eastward to the Jordan Rift Valley, the home of the prophet Samuel. Other cities named Ramah were located on the Negev and in the territories of Naphtali and Asher. Now let's go to theisraelbible.com. Theisraelbible.com. We're still talking about Ramah. Ramah was a city in the ancient Israel. Ramah was a city in ancient Israel in the land allocated to the tribe of Benjamin, whose name means height. It was located near Gibeon and Mizpah to the west, Gibeah to the south, and Geba to the east. It has been identified with modern Aram, about 8 kilometers north of Jerusalem. So now we're talking, you know what area we're talking about now? An area that's just north of the city of Jerusalem. And where Jerusalem? It's in Israel. And all that was part of the land of Canaan. Continuing. The city, lost it. Hold on, let me find it again. I went too far. Okay, here it is. Continuing. The city is first mentioned in Joshua chapter 18, verse 25, which we just read, near Gibeah of Benjamin. In the book of Judges, a Levite came traveling to Gibeah with Ramah just ahead. Judges chapter 19, verses 11 through 15. Ramah is the town that was home to Samuel's mother Hannah and his father Elkanah, from which they journeyed to the sanctuary of Shiloh, where Hannah prayed to God to end her barrenness and give her a child, and that's how Samuel was born. Ramah is mentioned in 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 4, in reference to a meeting place during Samuel's rule. The city was later fortified by Baasha, king of the northern kingdom, in order to control access to Jerusalem. Asa, king of the southern kingdom, employed Ben-Hadad I, the Syrian king, successfully to attack Baasha at home and draw his forces away from this city. The biblical account states that the fortifications were later dismantled by decree of King Asa, and the materials used to fortify Judah's defenses at Gibeah and Mizpah. Just a little bit of history about Ramah and Gibeah in Benjamin. Continuing on, when Jerusalem was destroyed by the Babylonians, those taken captive were assembled in Ramah before being moved to Babylon. Before being moved to Babylon, you can read that in Jeremiah chapter 40, verse 1. Let's go read it. Jeremiah chapter 40, verse 1 through 6. We're going to read 1 through 6. Jeremiah chapter 40, verses 1 through 6, verse 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord after that Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, not Nebuchadnezzar, but Nebuzaradan, his captain of the guard, had let him go from Ramah. There it is. When he had taken him, being bound in chains, among all that were carried away captive of Jerusalem and Judah, which were carried away captive unto Babylon. And the captain of the guard took Jeremiah and said unto him, the Lord thy God hath pronounced this evil upon this place. Now, how did this captain of the guard know that? Verse 3. Now the Lord hath brought it and done according as he hath said, because ye have sinned against the Lord and have not obeyed his voice. Therefore this thing is come upon you. Now this is something that all the Israelites should read. This captivity that Israel has been in is because of disobedience to the Lord. So the Lord sends another nation to conquer them and take them captive for their punishment. Point and blank. That's just the point. You can read that throughout all the Bible. Verse 4. And now behold, I loose thee this day from the chains which were upon thine hand. So Nebuzaradan is going to let Jeremiah go. Let me see if I'm pronouncing his name right. Nebuzaradan. Okay, Nebuzaradan. He's going to let Jeremiah go. Verse 4. And now I loose thee this day from the chains which were upon thine hand. If it seem good unto thee to come with me into Babylon, come, and I will look well unto thee. But if it seem ill unto thee to come with me into Babylon, forbear. Behold, all the land is before thee, whither it seemeth good and convenient for thee to go, thither go. So Nebuzaradan is telling Jeremiah, okay, look, we're going to let you go. You can go anywhere you want to go. Come with me if you want to come to Babylon. Go wherever you want to go. All right, what is Jeremiah going to do? Verse 5. Now, while he was not yet gone back, he said, go back also to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, whom the king of Babylon hath made governor over the cities of Judah, and dwell with him among the people, or go wheresoever it seemeth convenient unto thee to go. So the captain of the guard gave him victuals and a reward, and let him go. Then went Jeremiah unto Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, to Mizpah. So that's where Jeremiah went. He went to Mizpah and dwelt with him among the people that were left in the land. So not all of the people were taken captive. Nebuchadnezzar did let some people go. Jeremiah was one of them, and he went to Mizpah and stayed there. No telling where everybody else went. There's a place, and you go back and look at ancient maps, there was a map over the northern part of Africa called Negro Land, and a lot of Israelites went there. Not only, I have to look this up, so this is just me talking. This is not what the books say, but I'm assuming here that during this time, a lot of them flee to Africa, and when the Romans conquered Jerusalem, they flee to all parts of Africa. And you can look at a map where the slaves were taken in the transatlantic slave trade was from this place called Negroland in Africa. It wasn't the actual Africans dwelling in those places. They took the Israelites captive and sold them to the Europeans. Just in history, look it up. But okay, let's keep going here. Let's go to the next son, Sabteka. Sabteka, Sabtecha. And for Sabteka, I went to studylight.org. Studylight, Light.org. Sabteka. Now, this is kind of funny reading here. It's got some Greek in there. Okay. Sabteka, the last named of the 5 sons of Cush, the son of Ham. His descendants seem to have given name to the people in Ethiopia, back to Ethiopia again. Their settlements would probably be near the Persian Gulf, where are those of Ramah, the next before him in the order of the Cushites. He has not been identified with any Arabic place or district, nor satisfactorily with any name given by classical writers. Bochart, a writer who is followed by Bunsen, Bible work, Genesis, the Gulf, Genesis 10 and Atlas, argues that he should be placed in Carmania on the Persian shore of Ptolemy. This etymology appears to be very far-fetched. Justinius, not Genesis, Justinius merely says that that Sabteka is the proper name of a district of Ethiopia and adds the reading of the Targ, Pseudo Jonathan. I'm not sure what that means. In confirmation of this latter view, the name Sabatok, Sabatok, has been discovered on the Egyptian monuments. Okay. Let's go to, so they're saying it's in Ethiopia and where else did it say here? Ethiopia, the settlements, and the Persian Gulf. A lot of these are, during this research here, I found were like in around the Persian Gulf area. So let's go to the next one, Sheba, Sheba. Sheba. And for this one, went to familypedia.wikia.org. Familypedia.wikia.org. Sheba. You might have heard of Queen of Sheba. Sheba is one of 2 prominent sons of Ramah, who founded a South Arabian-speaking kingdom believed to be in modern-day Yemen, mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, and the Quran. This country of Ramah is usually assumed to be somewhere in the region of Yemen. Sheba was a son of Ramah, and his descendants are often held to be included among the Sabaeans. Dedan, son of Ramah. Oh, I don't know why that's there, but it's mentioned there. We're going to do Dedan next, though. Apparently a region of the Medina province of Saudi Arabia. The most famous claim to fame for the biblical land of Sheba was the story of the Queen of Sheba, who traveled to Jerusalem to question King Solomon, arriving in a large caravan with precious stones, spices, and gold. The apocryphal Christian Arabic text Kitab al-Magal, Book of the Rolls, considered part of Clementine literature, I didn't look that up, and the Syriac Cave of Treasures mention a tradition that after being founded by the children of Seba, son of Joktan, there was a succession of 60 female rulers up until the time of Solomon. Okay, that's just extra reading. If you want, you can go to the Book of Rolls. This is a history lesson that we're talking about, so we're not really doing, well, it's in the Bible too, but we're talking about historical information and locations of where did the sons of Noah actually wind up. And we're doing Ham right now, and we're trying to show that they wound up in what we call Africa today, including what's called the Middle East. There really is no Middle East. That's part of the African continent. If you look at the continental plate, the tectonic plate, all of that sits on the African tectonic plate. I think Arabia got its own plate though. In any case, let's go to the next one. Dedan, D-E-D-A-N, Dedan. For this one, I went to BibleStudyTools.com, BibleStudyTools.com. Dedan, a son of Ramah. His descendants are mentioned in Isaiah chapter 21, verse 13, and Ezekiel chapter 27, verse 16. They probably settled among the sons of Cush on the northwest coast of the Persian Gulf. That's all I could find for Dedan. If you want to do some, wait. Here's some more information. Glued Ideas. Don't ask me where I found this website, but if you do your research, you look, you can find anything on the internet, right? Glued, Glued, ideas.com. Okay, we're still talking about Dedan. Okay, it appears that the descendants of Cush colonized a large part of the interior of Africa, what we call Africa, entering that great continent probably by the Straits of Babel Mandeb. A section of the family, however, under their immediate progenitor Raamah, settled along the eastern shores of the Arabian Peninsula. There they founded nations which afterwards became celebrated, taking their names from Raamah's two sons, Sheba and Dedan. Though Sheba and Dedan became nations of great importance and notoriety, yet the name Ramah did not wholly disappear from ancient history. There can be little doubt that the classic name Regma, also Peyad, P-E-Y-A-D, which is identical with the Septuagint equivalent for Ramah. We have a memorial of the patriarch and of the country he colonized. The town of Regma was situated on the Arabian shore of the Persian Gulf, on the northern side of the long promontory which separates it from the ocean. And it is interesting to note that on the southern side of the promontory, a few miles distant, was a town called Dadena, evidently identical with Dedan. So there you have it. That's Ramah and Dedan, Sabtah, and Seba, and Havilah, and who else I might have forgot. So now, let's go back to Genesis chapter 10, and let's read about some Nimrod here. Genesis chapter 10, verse 8. Genesis chapter 10, verse 8. We're going to read 8 through 12. It's basically talking about Nimrod. Verse 8. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel and Erech, E-R-E-C-H, and Akkad, A-C-C-A-D, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of the land went forth Asher, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah. And Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. So I looked these up. I'm telling you, man, this was like going on and on. I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this kind of a lesson again. Maybe I should just stick to Bible lessons instead of historical information and locations. This is a lot of work. Okay, Bible-history.com. Bible-history.com. Ancient Mesopotamia. Okay, we're looking at oh, I didn't write down which city we were looking up. Bible-history.com. Oh, we're looking up Nimrod. Nimrod Kingdom. The Nimrod's Kingdom. Okay. Ancient Mesopotamia. The word Mesopotamia means the land between the rivers, which were the Tigris and the Euphrates. Although the courses have changed dramatically since ancient times, we know the area was nearly 700 to 1,000 miles long and nearly 300 miles across. The rivers were so large that the land was considered an island that was between them. But the heart of ancient Mesopotamia was in the northwest, where the Euphrates made a huge bend at the northern portion of the Tigris, as shown in the map above. Now, I don't have a picture of the map, so I can't show you. Now, let's look up the first son, Erech. All right, so that was Babel, really. That's what that was, Babel. Babel-history.com. The first city I looked up was Babel, Babel, that Nimrod founded, and later became Babylon. I think it's the same thing. I got to make sure. Don't quote me on that. I have to look it up. But now the second son, um, his kingdom, Nimrod's kingdom was Babel and Erech. So let's look up Erech, Erech. Erech. Went back to BibleStudyTools.com. BibleStudyTools.com. Erech, Erech. One of the cities of Nimrod's kingdom in the plain of Shinar. The Orcho, Orchoe of the Greeks and Romans. It was probably the city of the Archavites who were transplanted to Samaria by Asnapper. You can see that in Ezra chapter 4, verse 9. It lay on the left bank of the Euphrates, about 120 miles southeast of Babylon, and is now represented by the mounds of ruins of Warka, Warka. It appears to have been the necropolis of the Assyrian kings, as the whole region is strewed with bricks and the remains of coffins. Standing on the summit of the principal edifice called the Buwarizi, a tower 200 feet square in the center of the ruins, the beholder is struck with astonishment at the enormous accumulation of mounds and ancient relics at his feet. An irregular circle nearly 6 miles in circumference is defined by the traces of an earthen rampart, in some places 40 feet high. So it's like a lot of ruins right there, where this town of Erech was supposed to have been. Let's go on to the next one. Akkad, Accad. Akkad. Still in Bible Study Tools, BibleStudyTools.com. I think I was in there a lot. I think I stayed in Bible Study Tools a lot of information from there. Akkad. The highland or mountains, a city in the land of Shinar. It has been identified with the mounds of Aker, Akker, Aker Kuf, Kuf, some 50 miles to the north of Babylon. But this is doubtful. It was one of the cities of Nimrod's kingdom. It stood close to the Euphrates opposite Sippara, Sippara, Sippara. It is, you can also say, see Sepharvaim, Sepharvaim. Continuing. It is also the name of the country of which this city was the capital, namely Northern or Upper Babylonia. The Akkadians who came from the mountains of the east, where the ark rested, attained to a high degree of civilization. The Babylonians, in the Babylonian inscriptions, they are called the Black Heads and the Black Faces. Black Heads and Black Faces. In contrast to the white race of Semitic descent. Now, this is kind of off to me right here. They invented the form of writing in pictorial hieroglyphics and also the cuneiform system, in which they wrote many books partly on papyrus and partly on clay. The Semitic Babylonians, now see, how can Babylonians be Semitic? I mean, how can actually, if they're out of the son of Ham, you can't be Semitic because those all came from Shem. The Semitic Babylonians, the white race. Okay, I got to be careful about going to the Bible study tools there, right? Or, as some scholars think, first the Cushites and afterwards, as a second immigration, the Semites invaded and conquered this country. And then the Akkadian language ceased to be a spoken language, although for the sake of its literary treasures, it continued to be studied by the educated classes of Babylonia. A large portion of the Ninevite tablets brought to light by Oriental research consists of interlinear and parallel translations from Akkadian into Assyrian. Continuing. And thus, that long forgotten language has been recovered by scholars. It belongs to the class of languages called agglutinative. It belongs to the class of language called agglutinative, common to the Turanian race. It consists of words glued together without declension of conjugation. These tablets, in a remarkable manner, illustrate ancient history. Among other notable records, they contain an account of the creation, which closely resembles that given in the book of Genesis, of the Sabbath as a day of rest, and of the deluge and its cause. Now, that might be interesting to try to find this book, this ancient history that illustrates that contains a story that contains an account of the creation, which closely resembles that given in the book of Genesis. I would like to read that. But we're going to keep going. I got some doubts about this white race called the Semites. Yeah, that contradicts the teachings of the Bible, and it contradicts history too. You know, they might be calling themselves Semites, or they might be a white race of Semitic people because Shem, you got Esau, and you got Jacob. Those are Semitic people. You got Ishmael, Semitic, comes from Shem. Anybody from Shem is Semitic, so it could be any color. So maybe they have a point here. I'm just saying that the Israelites were a dark race of people, not the Esauites. Anyway, next son is Calneh, Calneh. Calneh. And for this one, I went to Encyclopedia.com. Encyclopedia.com. Calneh. Mesopotamian city mentioned together with Babel, Erech, and Akkad as cities in the land of Shinar, which constituted the beginning of the kingdom of Nimrod. At present, there is no acceptable identification of Calneh, although the other cities mentioned together with it in Genesis are known from Akkadian inscriptions. No identification of Calneh can be made on the basis of the land of Shinar, which serves in this instance, as elsewhere in the Bible, as a synonym for Babylonia. The modern, let's see, all of the, that's all right. Okay, it's Calneh. This is like a part two. A city in northern Syria identified with Kalani or Kalania, Kulania, which is mentioned in connection with Tiglath-Pileser III's conquest and his annals of the third year of his reign. The references to the city in Amos chapter 6 verse 2 and Isaiah chapter 10 verse 9 as Calno, Calno, allude to Tiglath-Pileser's conquest in 740 to 732 BCE. There's Calno. We're getting down to it. We got a few more to go. All right, the next city is Resen, Resen, Resen. And for this one, I went to BibleAtlas.org. Hope you're still with me. BibleAtlas.org. Resen, the last of the four cities mentioned in Genesis chapter 10, verse 11. 12 as having been, chapter 11, and let me start over. Resen, the last of four cities mentioned in Genesis chapter 10, verses 11 and 12, as having been founded by Nimrod, the King James Version by Asher. Probably represents the Assyrian pronunciation of the place name Reseni, fountainhead. That's what it means, fountainhead. So they say here. The only town so named in the inscriptions is one of 18 mentioned by Sennacherib in the Babylonian inscription as places from which he dug canals connecting with the river Khosran, Khosr -in, Khosr. In fact, okay, there goes another word then. Okay, let's start that over. The only town so named in the inscriptions is one of 18 mentioned by Sennacherib in the Babylonian inscriptions as places from which he dug canals connecting with the river Khosr, Khosr. In fact, it was one of the sources of Nineveh's water supply. It probably lay too far north, however, to be the city here intended. Naturally, the name Resen could exist in any place where there was a spring. Possibly the modern Selamiah, Selamiyyeh. Okay. As the biblical text requires a sight line between Nineveh and Calah, it is generally thought to be represented by the ruins of Salamiah, about 3 miles north of the latter city. It is noteworthy that Xenophon, Xenophon, mentions a great mentions a great city called Larissa as occupying this position, and Bochart has suggested that it is the same place. He supposes that when the inhabitants were asked to what city the ruins belonged, they answered Larezin, to Rezin, which was reproduced by the Greeks as Larissa. Xenophon describes its walls as being 25 feet wide, 100 feet high, and 2 parasangs in circuit. I don't know what a parasang is. Parasang. Except for the stone plinth 20 feet high, they were of brick. He speaks of a stone-built pyramid near the city, possibly the temple tower at Nimrod. Possibly. Genesis chapter 10, verse 13, 14. We're going to go to the next sons. Genesis chapter 10, verses 13, 14. These are the sons of Mizraim. Let's read it. Genesis chapter 10, verse 13. And Mizraim begat Ludim and Anamim, and Lehabim and Naphtahim, and Pathrasim and Calahim, out of whom came Philistine, and Caphtorim. Okay, those are sons of Mizraim. Mizraim is another name for Egypt. Egypt is Mizraim. Now let's read those. Let's go to those sons. Okay, now I think I found all of these in the same spot. BibleHub.com. BibleHub.com. I just put all those names in and did a search, and all these came up. I found one site that had them all. So we're gonna read through all of these. BibleHub.com. I'm gonna take them one at a time. We're gonna start with Ludim. You should be pretty quick. Okay. BibleHub.com. With Mizraim are connected 7 inferior. Okay. With Mizraim are connected 7 inferior African races, the names of which are given in the plural. Namely, here's the sons. The Ludim. Ludim. The Ludim. There are 2 races of this name. One Semitic, descended from Lud, son of Shem. See, Shem are the Semites, not Ham. And mentioned in Isaiah, start over. Ludim, there are 2 races of this name. One Semitic, descended from Lud, the son of Shem. The other Hamite, and subject to the pharaohs. They seem to have inhabited the Nile Valley, but their exact position is unknown. Okay. Anamim. Nobel gives some reasons for supposing this race to have inhabited the Delta. Lehabim, probably the same as the Lubim of 2 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 3, 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 8, Daniel chapter 11, verse 43, Nahum chapter 3, verse 9. Their home was on the western side of the Delta. Naphtahim. Noble explains these as the people of Ptah, Phtah, the deity worshipped at Memphis. Memphis is the Egyptian. If so, they were the true Egyptians, as Egypt is Ka-Ptah, the land of Ptah, or more correctly, according to Canon Cook, I-Kapth. Okay, that's just more information. You can look it up if you want to. Okay, the Pathrusim, people of Pathros, or Upper Egypt, according to Canon Cook. Res means the land of the south. Okay. Casluhim, the next one, probably the people of Cassiotis, a mountainous district in the east of Pelusium. All right. Continuing on, the Philistine. The word Philistine means immigrant, as is translated alien, foreigner by the LXX. We are here told that they came into Palestine as colonists from the Casluhim. But in Jeremiah chapter 47, verse 4, Amos chapter 9, verse 7, they are described as a colony from Caphtor. Probably the first Philistine settlers in Gerar, Genesis chapter 26, verse 1, and in the towns conquered by Judah. You can see that in Judges chapter 1, verse 18. Thank you. All right, thank you. It's my robot. Oh, here, you can have it back. You built the robot. Okay, where was I? Okay, by the LXX. The word Philistine means, let me start over, the Philistine. The word Philistine means immigrant and is translated alien, foreigner by the LXX. We are here told that they came into Palestine as colonists from Caslehem. But in Jeremiah chapter 47, verse 4, and Amos chapter 9, verse 7, they are described as a colony from Caphtor. Probably the first Philistine settlers in Gerar, you can see that in Genesis chapter 26, verse 1, and in the towns conquered by Judah, see that in Judges chapter 1, verse 18. The Casluchians. But afterwards, at the time when they struggled with Israel for empire in the days of Samson, Eli, and Saul, there had been a second and larger immigration from Crete. As they seem to have spoken a Semitic tongue, they had apparently adopted the language of the Canaanites, among whom they had settled, and especially of the Avim. You'll see that in Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 23. The objection to their being of Egyptian origin brought from their neglect of the rite of circumcision is but little weight. The Israelites all but discontinued it, Joshua chapter 5, verse 5, all but discontinued it, and colonists escaped from the dominion of the priests might gladly dispense with such a custom. There is also much reason for believing that the institution of circumcision in Egypt was of a date subsequent to this immigration. Looks like all of them are basically in the land of Africa, the continent of Africa, and Sahara. All right. Okay. Let's go down to the Caphtorum. Now we're still on the sons of Mizraim. All right. The Caphtorum are generally connected with Crete, but Egyptologists derive the name from Kapta, the land of Ptah, which is Egypt. According to this, the Caphtorum, like the Naphtohim, would have been true Egyptians, and the delta with Memphis, for their capital would have been their original home. The need of expansion, joined to the seafaring habits learnt on the shores of the delta, may easily have led them to colonize Crete, while others of the race were going as settlers into Palestine. It is worth notice that while Cyprus and Rhodes are given to the sons of Javan, Genesis chapter 10, verse 4, no mention is there made of Crete. So who was Crete given to? I think we did read that in the sons of Japheth, something about Crete. Continuing on, it is plain from this survey that Mizraim at this time was not of very great extent, these 7 tribes being confined to the lands closely bordering on the delta and the upper part of the Nile Valley. There is nothing to indicate that the great city of Thebes had as yet come into existence. Okay, we're almost done. We still got a lot to read, but we're almost done. We're on, let's go back to Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. We're going to read verses 15 through 19. Some more sons of Canaan. Genesis chapter 10, verse 15. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. Okay, now let's get into those. All right, Sidon. There's only a few more really got to go. All the rest of them I pretty much put together. But Sidon and Heth, I got a little bit to read on them. All right, Sidon, Sidon. I went to Ancient.EU. Ancient.EU. Sidon is the Greek name for the ancient Phoenician port city of Cydonia, also known as Sidon in what is today Lebanon, located about 25 miles south of Beirut. Along with the city of Tyre, Sidon was the most powerful city-state of ancient Phoenicia and first manufactured the purple dye which made Tyre, Tyre, famous and was so rare and expensive that the color purple became synonymous with royalty. The area of Sidon was inhabited as early as 4000 BCE, and Homer, in the 8th century, notes the skill of the Sidonians in producing glass. Glass production made Sidon both rich and famous, and the city was known for being very cosmopolitan and progressive. Continuing on. The princess Jezebel, who later would become queen of Israel, as related in the biblical books of 1st and 2nd Kings, was the daughter of the king of Sidon, Ethbaal, in the 9th century BCE, and married King Ahab of Israel to cement ties between the two kingdoms. The city is mentioned a number of times throughout the Bible, and both Jesus and Paul are reported to have made visits there. Sidon is considered the seat of the Phoenician civilization in that most of its ships, which would ply the seas and spread Phoenician culture, were launched. Let me turn it off. Spread the culture were launched from this city's port. Sidon was overthrown during the conquest of Phoenicia by Alexander the Great in 332 BCE, and like the rest, of wait, okay, going. Sidon was considered the seat of the Phoenician civilization in that most of the ships which would ply the seas and spread Phoenician culture were launched from this city's port. Sidon was overthrown during the conquest of Phoenicia by Alexander the Great in 332 BCE, and like the rest of the fractured Phoenician civilization was eventually absorbed by Rome and finally taken by the Arab Muslims. That was Sidon, Sidon. Now we got Heath, Heth. I mean, not Heath, Heth. Heth. BibleStudyTools.com. Heth, a descendant of Canaan and the ancestor of the Hittites, who dwelt in the vicinity of Hebron. The Hittites were a Hamitic race. They are called the sons of Heth. And that's all I have for Heth. Oh, wait. Okay, now we went to studylight.org. Now we're going to go through the Jebusites and all of that stuff. The Jebusites and the Girgasites. Not a whole lot left, but studylight.org. Studylight.org. Light, studylight.org. The Jebusite. And the Jebusite, who had their name from Jebus, a third son of Canaan, and from whom Jerusalem was called Jebus. Judges chapter 19, verse 10, and where his posterity continued to dwell when the land of Canaan was possessed by the Israelites. For they were so strong and powerful that the men of Judah could not drive them out from thence, and here they remained until the times of David, who dispossessed them of it. Joshua chapter 16, verse 63. There is an island near Spain formerly called Ebusas, now Ibiza, to spell those Ebusus and Ibissa, where it was one of the colonies of the Phoenicians, in which Bochart is a historian, observes the name of the Jebusites is thought to remain. I gotta look up some more information about this Bochart, Bochart. It looks like he's some type of biblical historian. That's what it looks like. I have to look it up, so don't look up Bochart if you want to. I'm going to look it up and see who this guy really is, what he studies. But there's been some quotes from him, Bochart. So this gives me the impression he's some type of biblical scholar or historian or some sort. Maybe an anthropologist. All right, keeping going, keeping it moving. The Emorite. And the Emorites, so called from Emor, the fourth son of Canaan, commonly called the Amorite, a people so strong and mighty that they are compared to cedars for height and to oaks for strength. See that in Amos chapter 2, verse 9. They dwelt both on this and the other side Jordan, Sihon. and the other side Jordan. Sihon, one of their kings, made war on the king of Moab and took all his country from him unto Arnon. And in the times of Joshua, there were several kings of the Amorites which dwelt on the side of Jordan westward. Hence it may be Amor, in the Arabic tongue signifying to command, and Emar, a commander. Continuing on, the Girgasite. The Girgasite, the same with the Gergesene in Matthew chapter 8, verse 28, who in the times of Christ lived about Gerasa or Gadara. A Jewish writer says that when they left their country to Israel, being forced to it by Joshua, they went into a country which to this day is called Gergestan. From Canaan I described 11 nations. Okay, now we're going to finish these up. Here's a guy named Kenan. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Continuing on, this is still from BibleStudyTools.com. I'm sorry. This is still from StudyLight.org, and we're going to finish up um, all these 11 final nations. It says, from Kenan are descended 11 nations. Now they spelled it Kenaan, but this is a translation from Canaan. They're still talking about the sons of Canaan here. All right. We're going to start with Sidon, what they spell here Zidon with the Z. Zidon is styled his firstborn, Canaan's firstborn. The name is retained in the well-known town of the coast of Phoenicia, which is accordingly to the highest antiquity among the cities of that region. The Sidonians were reckoned coextensive with the Phoenicians and are mentioned by Homer. Heth, we talked about Heth earlier. This tribe dwelt about Hebron and the mountains around, and perhaps still further north in the districts extending toward the Euphrates. Esau took wives from the Hittites, and some part of the nation existed even after the captivity. The Jebusite. The Jebusite has his chief seat in and around Jerusalem, which was called Jebus, from his chief, and the citadel of which was wrested from him only in the time of David. The Amorite was one of the most important and extensive tribes of Canaan. 5 kings of this nation dwelt in the mountains afterward occupied by Judah, and 2 on the east of the Jordan in Heshbon and Bashan, north of Moab. The eastern Amorites were conquered under Moses, the western under Joshua. A remnant of them were made bondsmen by Solomon. They survived the captivity. The Girgashite. The Girgashite seems to have lain on the west of the Jordan, and the name may be preserved in the reading. I can't pronounce it. It's like either Latin or Greek. Gergesian of Matthew chapter 8, verse 28. The town of the Gergesenes is supposed to have been at the southeast of the lake of Gennesaret. Okay, the Hivite. The Hivite was found at Shalem, Gibeon, and also at the foot of Hermon and Antilobanus. The former were also classified under the Amorites. With the exception of 4 cities of the Gibeonites, they were conquered by Joshua. The Arkites. The Arkite probably dwelt near a town called Arke, or Caesarea Libani, lying some miles north of Tripolis at the foot of Lebanon. Its ruins are still extant at Tel Arka. The Sinite. The Sinite is supposed to have dwelt in Sinna, Sinna, a town mentioned in Strabo called Sini or Sin by Jerome, and Sin, Syn, in the 15th century. Okay, not from Ark. The Arvadite dwelt in Arvad, Aradus, now Ruad, a Phoenician town on an island of the same name. The Zimrite has been traced in the town Simeru, the ruins of which were found by Shah at the western foot of Lebanon under the name of Sumra. Okay. The Hamathite was the inhabitant of Hamath, called Hamath Rabbah, the great by the Greeks Epiphania at a present Hama. Have to open it up. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Here you go, man. You took the one with the wheels off.
No, you take this blue thing off.
Oh, okay. Let me take the blue thing off. Yeah, let me take the blue thing off the Lego if I can get it off. And we're almost done, by the way. Hold on, Jonathan. I'll take it off. Okay. The Zimmerite has been traced to the town of Simura, the ruins of which were found by Shah at the western foot of Lebanon under the name of Sumra. And the Hamathite was the inhabitant of Hamath called Hamath Rabbah the Great, by the Greeks Epiphania, and at present Hama. It is situated on the Orontes, or I'm sorry, it is situated on the Orontes, Orontes, and held an important place in the history of Israel. The land of Hamath was a great extent, including the town of Riblah, and reaching even to Antioch, the entrance of Hamath, the northern part of the valley between Lebanon and Antilibanus, formed the utmost boundary of Palestine to the north. Its king was in alliance with David. And that does it for all the children. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 10. We're going to read 19 and 20. Genesis chapter 10, verse 19. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou consent to Gerar unto Gaza, as thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Zeboam, even unto Lasha. These are the sons of Ham and their families after their tongues in their countries and in their nations. And that does it for the sons of Ham. I hope you stuck with me through all this reading of these locations and some of this history. Sorry if I didn't have everything pronounced correctly. All this information I put in the notes so you can take a look at it. Go do your own research and look up if you want to find out the locations of some of these things. I'm sure you'll find some stuff that's contradictory. I went all over the place trying to find all of these different names to see what history, what location I could find for them. This is what I came up with. Hope it was, hope it was exciting for you or entertaining for you. Next week, I'm going to try to do these on Wednesdays now. Thursdays, I get off work a little bit later now, so I can't get an early show in. And also there's too much going on Thursday. So Wednesday, I'm going to try and continue doing the Bible show. Next week, I'm going to try and do a Bible lesson, not the sons of Shem. I'm going to have to do some more research on that first. It takes a little while to get all the stuff documented and then come back and do a lesson. And I don't want it to be real short, so I don't want it to be just like one quick sentence and that's it of the town. I want to do some more information about it. So it might take a while. So I want to go back to a Bible lesson about what the Bible is trying to tell us. Um, Thanks for tuning into the Bible show. Keep the faith of Jesus Christ. Keep the commandments of God. And until next week, God willing, peace to you and yours. Peace and grace to you and yours in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Jonathan. Yep, you said kuwa. Come here and say peace, brothers. Come on.
Peace.
Ah, it's not on, Bo. Maybe it went out, but oh well. I think they'll still see it. You gotta put your face over here.
Oh.
All right, there you go. All right. Peace and grace to you and yours in Jesus' name. Amen.